Digital Foundry is proudly sponsored by Omen's new wireless range of mice, keyboards and headsets.
Hey everyone, so welcome to a brand new Digital Foundry Direct. So last night we had the opportunity to get a look at the new PlayStation 5 UX ahead of the release of today's State of Play. Really exciting stuff, a genuine vision for taking this part of the experience to the next level. And joining me for that journey, John Linneman.
Rich, how's it going? Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. So John, it's the day after we first saw the PlayStation 5 user interface. So why don't we take it from the top?
Yeah, that's right. So obviously they kick off the presentation with this beautiful first look at the UI with this nice gold background, which was kind of previewed back in an earlier PS5 video during the summer. And right from the start, you kind of get that same elegance that I'm always a big fan of. Like, I've always thought that Sony's done an amazing job with their UI design, and this is actually weirdly one of the most exciting things about a new generation for me, is getting to see the new UI that you'll be living with for the next however many years. And,
definitely, yeah,
like, it's off to a good start. But I guess let's start here with this home screen, which is kind of shown at the end of the video originally, but the first take is that everything here it does seem similar to the PS4 in concept, but the way it's laid out and the way everything's sort of placed in the graphics design, it all feels very fresh, and I really like the way this looks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does look interesting, doesn't it? I mean, there's the kind of dock along the bottom, which we didn't actually see too much of in the presentation. We've got the tabs at the top there. You can swap between your games and media apps very easily, which I think is a big step forward. And obviously you've got your main icons there that are kind of reminiscent but almost minimalized compared to PlayStation 4. I mean, overall, it is a really smart look, and I sort of agree 100%. I mean, if we go back, I think, to PlayStation 3, and the Xbox 360 had its kind of more functional blade system, and then PS3 came along, and you just got this kind of luxury feel. But again, if you think about it, PS2 as well, the front end on that was excellent as well. So there's
exactly.
pedigree here. This is actually 4K native as well.
Yeah, and it's not just 4K native. They even confirmed to us that it supports HDR output while you're in the UI, which makes sense when you start to see how it's integrated into the games, but I think that is really cool. So between having the full 4K sort of output, all the high-res iconography, the smooth performance, HDR support, this is one area where I think the PS5 is really just coming out on top.
I mean, they've always had a great eye for presentation and polish, but this is different in that it's actually extending more into the games this time. Much closer integration.
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting thing, is they have this whole sort of the control center at the bottom, of course, but then there's these cards that they display within the game itself. And it seems like transitioning between the menu and the cards is like a very seamless process. And unlike, say, PlayStation 4, where you would hit the button and it would pop out to a completely separate menu, everything sort of blends together. Like, you kind of go between the menus in sort of this smooth flow without leaving the game, basically. So, like, you can have things sort of pop up, overlaying on top of the game itself, almost like all these individual windows, and just like the graphic design on it, the fluidity of everything, it's really nice. And thinking of fluidity, one of the things we also asked was about how the caching system works. So we have kind of a basic idea, but it seems like they are paying attention to caching data that might be fetched from the internet in a way to speed up overall performance. Because I find with some of these interfaces, when you bring in the internet, just loading the different icons and everything, it starts to slow down and feel less responsive, and that's just due to your connection. But here, they seem to be focusing on ensuring that everything just appears rapidly.
Yeah. And I think what impressed me was just the level of interaction that's in the user interface in-game. So there's a ton of stuff going on here. They have a whole bunch of examples from Sackboy's Adventures on PlayStation 5. So you can get a feel for how it all works and how The activities are set up. It's really quite impressive stuff.
Yeah, the activities thing is really interesting. Obviously, like trophies have been a big part of this for a while, you know, trophies, achievements, all of that. But it seems like they're really trying to use the menu in a way this time to really bring the players more information about what they can do, sort of setting up goals, and it makes tracking these goals and figuring out where they are much easier. Like they showed how it's like, hey, he wants to do this goal here. You can actually open it up. You see all this information about the goal, and then you can even click on it and it'll load into a separate portion of the game where you may have already been to immediately show you where the thing is that you might have to do. And obviously, I think this is going to be something that varies from game to game because the developers themselves, you know, they need to implement this stuff. But it offers a lot of freedom and integration with the system level that I don't think we've ever seen before.
Yeah, I think that's something we need to stress, because in the state of play, I think we're seeing almost like an idealized scenario of how this feature set is going to play out. And it is with a title that looks to have had a lot of attention put into this specific integration. It does require a level of authoring from the developer. It's not just going to appear out of nowhere. The developer needs to actually sort of integrate all of this into the game. So, you know, there will be varying levels of integration from title to title.
Thinking about this as well, I should note, I really like what I'm seeing of the Sackboy game from Sumo. We're big fans of Sumo Digital, and this just looks awesome to me. Like, I actually think this could be one of the sleeper hits of the entire launch. Like, it's maybe unassuming at first, but this is like a straight up sort of 3D platform action game with really nice, colorful 60 FPS visuals. I think this is going to be a better type of game like this to have at launch than, say, Knack was. Not to knock on Knack, right. You know, I can enjoy my Knack, but I actually think this is going to be really good.
But they were showing some interesting stuff in there, like the whole concept of, you know, if you're stuck, you can get assistance via streaming video in-game without the need to pop off to YouTube on a phone or a tablet. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and you can sort of like position it on any part of the screen. You can do picture-in-picture. You can actually like lock it down to the menu, so when you do pop open the menu, the card is waiting for you. Like all this stuff to sort of let you customize how you want to see it. And the same was true with this sort of friend system that they showed, where like they wanted to join a party, and they sort of suggest that the parties are a little bit more defined this time. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. But basically, he was able to open up this menu, and you could immediately see like a video stream of somebody playing a different game. In this case, Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. And so you could be in a party with somebody while they're playing a game and you're playing a game, and you can actually have the picture-in-picture window video stream of them playing their game and stick it on your screen. Like, it's a weird thing, but it's kind of cool, and I'm kind of blown away that that actually works as well as it seems to. Like, I really want to test this out.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see whether it'll actually work in the same game, so you've got some kind of rudimentary split screen. It could be quite interesting.
It just opens up all these weird possibilities that are really kind of interesting. And, you know, I like that they're kind of expanding on this stuff, because obviously they were kind of ahead with the share button stuff on PS4, and this seems to be taking all that sort of interaction with friends to the next level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think there was a crucial moment though, which was where we actually entered another game, Destruction All Stars, from within the kind of player interaction element, which I thought was really interesting, simply because I think it's the first time we've actually seen a PlayStation 5 game boot in real time.
Yeah, that's right. They actually clicked on a card to join a player playing that game, and they showed it booting from scratch, and it was stupidly fast.
Yeah.
Just kind of swapped over, and they specifically said that the game here was in a cold boot state. So this was just a straight boot from nothing, and it really fired up quick. And then once they got to the main menu, they did kind of fast forward into the game, because I think they wanted to show their screenshot feature, and that's where they confirmed that it will do 4K screenshots and video capture this time, as you would hope, which is great.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, we didn't actually get to see too much of the create functionality though, so I guess they're saving that for another time. I think there were some leaks a while back with various filters and whatnot that were on display, but yeah, there was a lot of stuff actually in the follow-up interview where we were asking questions, where they just said, well, you know, we've got a lot more to share on that, but but we're just showing this stuff in the here and now.
Yeah, that's true. I did ask a few things that, of interest to me specifically. For instance,
Yes.
I had to ask, like, discs. I'm really worried about this whole digital frontier that we're seeing, and they confirmed that if you buy a disc, you can pop it in, and if you don't, you can still basically reject the patch. You can play completely offline. There's no forcing you to patch. It is similar to the PS4 in that regard, which I think is very useful for long-term kind of overtime preservation, and just, or more like, if you want to load up a system and you want to quickly play a game, people argue that patches are necessary, and sometimes they are, but I think by and large, most games actually do ship in pretty good shape. So I think it's really nice that this is still possible. Offline play is there.
Yeah, I mean, the concept of preservation, it's really important. There are some games that simply do not exist anymore, and then there's other games where the gold master code that's on the disc actually sort of has some relevance. So we recently did that Xbox Series X video of Assassin's Creed Unity running flat out at 60 frames per second. That would never have happened if we'd only had access to the digital version of the game.
Exactly.
So I do think there is, a kind of argument here for preservation of gold master code, simply to preserve the game as it was at launch. And I think, yeah, you're right, we're in danger of losing that. But yeah, I did notice you got in a couple of questions about things about the PlayStation UI that have been bothersome for you over time, like the fact that it defaults to automatic resolution and color format outputs when you swap over to a new display.
Yeah, and this is something that anybody that does streaming or video capture like we do, where like I'll be playing on my TV and then I want to switch to like the Shogun or my PC capture card, the PS4 always resets that to default, and the default is not the settings I need. So it would be nice to have the option to basically save the video settings in a specific way, so it knows, like, okay, this is what I want. Don't change it automatically. If there's a problem, do it like PS3, where you just hold the button or something to reset it. And they did indicate that they're looking at this, and it is something that they're considering, especially with the rise of streaming. So I don't know if that'll necessarily be there at launch. I don't know how it's going to work at launch, but there is awareness, so that's good.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I mean, on a sort of global level, I'm just really impressed with where they're going with this. When you see something new, you get excited about it, and it's like something you've never seen before. But I honestly think that's the case here. We're seeing stuff that's happening in-game that heightens the interaction you have with other users, that increases the value that you get from the game. I was kind of reminded almost of Autolog on Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, where it comes up with new challenges for you based on what other players are doing. That kind of system would merge seamlessly with what they're doing here. And again, the picture-in-picture stuff I thought was really impressive, and the fact that you can, just move it around the screen, and the fact that you can share what you're doing so easily with your friends. Again, stuff that we've not really seen before. And I think it seems to me that with the level of authorship that developers have for this system, there's, potentially this is just the beginning. We could be seeing a lot more happening with this, a lot more innovative use of this system. Depends on how open Sony are going to be with sharing it with developers, functionality.
Yeah, for sure. But at the top level, the thing that excites me most is that just the introduction of this much faster CPU architecture combined with the SSD should eliminate any of the performance issues that have plagued prior generations. I mean, obviously the XMB is amazing on PS3, but it's still a little slow. The PS4 is pretty good, but again, there's lots of bottlenecks in these systems, and from what I'm seeing with PS5, it kind of feels like we're finally past that point again, where it's almost back to like PS2 level of fluidity now. And I say that in the best way. I mean, like, it's just, everything just goes. It's super smooth, super fast, and I'm really excited to get my hands on with it. So yeah, I guess, it's great to see all this for the first time. There's been a lot of crazy stuff going on with this generation so far, but like I said, just this type of stuff does start to bring back some excitement for me. And again, I know it sounds weird to say, but just seeing like the UI for me, it's like, oh, okay, this is real. This is the new generation. It's something that really takes advantage of the new hardware in interesting ways. And yeah, you spend a lot of time in these interfaces over the course of a generation. I have spent so much time with that PS4 menu You just get to know it well. So it's really cool to see where you're going to be going next with these consoles.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's two takeaways for me. First of all, as you say, the concept of having this ultra fast storage and this proper generational leap in CPU performance means that we're getting a really quick and snappy interface, and it's actually matched with some brand new ideas, which I thought was really exciting stuff. And I guess the other thing which I found kind of exciting, I mean, I said in the video yesterday that Sony has kind of almost been drip feeding information to us and stoking the hype level. Here we are, literally like a month away from launch, and Sony is still able to surprise us with new stuff. I think that's quite terrific, actually.
Yeah, I have to admit, I mean, I love seeing stuff early, but at the same time, I miss being surprised. So in a way, it's actually kind of beneficial for my hype level. It's weird like that, but you're right. Like, just these surprises showing up like this is the stuff that I really like. It gets me excited again, which is great.
Yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up there, though. Please do like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and of course, ring the bell for instant notifications whenever new content drops, and or indeed when we do a live stream. The Digital Foundry Patreon, that's there for those that love what we do and want to support the team more directly. But yeah, interesting discussion, John. I'm going to be interested to see how this one all plays out and what new features there are. But thanks for joining me on this one.
Of course.
And yeah, just generally, thanks for watching and supporting Digital Foundry. We'll see you soon.
Featuring its new Warp wireless technology, Omen's PC peripherals allow for lag-free gaming. From the 360-degree audio of its Omen frequency headphones, the 180-hour battery life of the Vector mouse, and the 2.4 GHz connection of its Spacer keyboard, Omen has you covered for the ultimate wireless experience.